Hi guys, welcome to COSC100 tutorial 10 exercise number 6. In this exercise you'll actually be constructing a slightly more complicated program to the ones we've been working on for the first part of this tutorial. You'll be building a simple little calculator program. So this program will ask the user to enter in two numbers, as you can see here, then ask them to enter in an operation. So we simply have a word that describes our operation, either sum, multiply and divide, and then it carries out the operation by displaying an appropriate prompt back to the user here. So here, for example, for the multiply operation, I've got my program displaying the full operation and the answer in the output. Now, the first part of this task is to construct an algorithm using structured English for your calculator program. So I'm not going to run through and do that because you've got an example on slide 18. Lecture 18, slide 46, and if we go and have a look at this, effectively we're just writing out the operations that we need to carry out in order to complete this one, and I'll go through them as part of the program here in a second. And of course the second part of this exercise is to implement your algorithm in Python. There's also some more examples of this in lecture 20 has some more examples of implementing algorithms as well. But we're going to jump straight over to the code. So you can see over here on the left hand side I've already got my implementation up. I've put this up because I don't want to spend the whole time typing out code in front of you. So you can see that the first three lines carry out the first three operations, and these will be the first three operations that you list as part of your algorithm as well. So we're inputting number 1 and number 2. We're converting them to integers as well, so we want them to be involved in some integer operations. We then go and we collect the operation that we want to perform. Now you'll notice that we don't convert this; we just use the input function and grab the string version of the operation entered by the user. So we want that to remain as a string. So once we've got all of the input, then we have all the things we need to then move to the next part of our program. And to implement this program, we're going to have to first build a conditional statement. Now, the conditional statement will be based around what type of operation the user wants to perform. So recall the user can either enter in sum, multiply and divide. And essentially we just need to use an if, elif, else statement here to implement this, the choice that they've made. So you can see if they enter in a sum, we need to perform a sum operation, and you'll see here that we've got a print statement that follows that operation that reflects the sum operation. Then we have one for the multiply, and if it's not either of these two, we can simply assume that the user has entered a divide operation, so we just drop through and carry out a division operation. You can see that we're using the print function to print out our output. So the output produced, if we see here over in the exercise figure, it prints out the expression that that's being performed and also the answer. So first thing we need to do is print out the number. So we're printing out number 1 and number 2. We'll need to convert them to strings so they can be used as part of the print statement. So we use the str function to do that. So we've dropped number 1 inside our str function. We then need to concatenate that with our plus sign. So in this situation we've put in the text-based plus sign, which will be displayed as part of the expression here, and then we're using the plus operator as a concatenation operator. So we're concatenating number 1 and number 2 with the plus sign in between them, and I've also put some spaces around the plus sign as well, so everything's nice and spaced out. So you can see here in the example down in my console window, the output is nice and spaced out so it's easy to read. Finally, we then need to concatenate on an equal sign, and we then go and carry out our actual expression. So we know in our first branch we're carrying out the sum operation. So here we're adding number 1 to num 2, and we're converting the result of this expression to a string. So again, it can be concatenated to the rest of the string to be printed out to the user. So if we go and run our program again, we can see that if we go 6, 7, and we want to do a sum operation, you can see that it prints out 6 and 7 plus, and we've got our result printing out there. So we've constructed the output string by concatenating items together in our print statement there. The second branch is exactly the same, only it's designed to perform the multiply operation. So if the user enters in multiply, so if we enter number 1, we enter number 2, and then we put multiply in, you can see that we get the multiplication operation performed down below. Again, we've got our multiply, so the condition on this branch will be if the user operation that they've entered is exactly equal to multiply, and we concatenate all of the elements of our expression together, and we carry out our expression here at the end, so it's going to be num1 multiplied by num2, and we convert the result of that into a string, and we concatenate it on to the other components of our string. And finally, in the final branch, we're assuming that if they haven't entered in sum or multiply, that they must have entered in divide, so that we go through and carry out the division operation. So essentially the most complicated parts of this program are determining where you need to convert things over between strings and integers. So you can see that we've entered in our values as integers so that we can carry out the mathematical operation, but when we want to display these to the user using the print function, we have to convert them into string type values using the str function. So go through, your implementation should look fairly similar to this. An alternate implementation might have another branch here that explicitly tests for the divide operation. So one shortcoming of my example is it doesn't really check what they enter in for the operation. So if I enter in random text, it will assume that I'm doing a division operation. So I've just done that because we're only assuming that they're entering in these 3 values. So I've taken a little bit of a shortcut there. So that's all there is really to our calculator exercise. If you have any questions about that one, please send them through. Thanks for listening, guys.